So you mentioned earlier that you treated every song the same in the
Yeah.
like recording and production process. Do you feel the same way about playing songs? Someone wanted to know two hits, Soul Man and Green Onions, you know.
Well, I think I let the cat out of the bag a while ago when I said that artists, fans pay a lot of money to hear you do that one hit sometimes.
Yeah.
So yes, I do pride myself in having the ability to listen to a record and copy what I used to do. I don't remember it in the top of my head, but I can, listen to it over and over and figure it out where I played it and whatever. And that's the funny thing about music and guitar. It's where you play it, not necessarily always the lick, because you play the same lick, in a different place. It'll sound different. So I try to duplicate my songs, like I mentioned a few of them all ago. Knock
Hmm.
on wood, and and one thing that with Booker T and the MGs, Booker looked at Duck and I one time in New York, and he said we were doing a sound check, and the sound guy said, "Can you play something at the level you're going to play tonight?" So Booker said, "Well, let's just give them Green Onions." After it was over with, Booker looked at Duck and I and said, "You know what? I never get tired of playing that song." So it is what it is.
Wow.
Great
And
tune.
I tried to duplicate it. We opened the Blues Brothers show with that because we had it on an album one time. Aykroyd loved it, and we put it up on Made in America or something. One of those albums we had out with the Blues Brothers. So Roland will remember that probably.
Yeah,
And we open with it every night. We do a little bit different arrangement, but it's when it comes to my turn to the solo and all, I try to get it the same in the intro.
it was a good question.
I try. If I don't, fans wouldn't care. They're not going to beat you up for it.
No,
But
no,
they like it when you do play what they're used to hearing.
that's true.
Yeah.
So true.
So someone wanted to know if you could give us a little background about how you got into the Blues Brothers.
Well, I'm trying to think how I got in there. Oh, I know I met Belushi at a party in LA when I was living in Los Angeles. And for some reason, he was putting a band together, and he called me and he said, "I've already talked to Doug Dunn. I want you in my band." And he's calling me from New York, and I'm living in LA, and I was in the studio at the time. I hung up on him because I thought it was a friend of mine imitating John Belushi. It
Oh
wasn't.
my God.
Called back immediately. Said, "Don't hang up this time. This is really John Belushi." I said, "What?" He said, "Remember meeting me?" And I said, "Yeah, sort of, kind of. We were leaning against a tree." And Paul McCartney had brought him to LA to do his impersonation of Joe Cocker. And of course, I got to hear him that, and he was on break after that. I went out and talked to him and met him and all that. Cool guy.
He
So
was.
that's how I got in the band, I guess. I don't know. I mean,
I don't think anyone was expecting that answer.
somebody made that suggestion about Duck and I being in the band.
Mr.
And we
Paul,
didn't do anything different.
is,
Roland,
is
we didn't do anything different. We might have with a touring band, but not for the movie. Duck and I played the same stuff we've been playing since high school.
yeah,
Same stuff, same attitude, same way. Maybe not necessarily the same notes, but the same attitude.
but you also played in the Saturday Night Band
Yeah,
at that time.
I wasn't in the band necessarily, but I did that show 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and that was only with the Bumblebee. What was it?
I
The
didn't
song
play
to
behind that either. That was them, and they they used to do some opener, and so they had a skit to tell you about why there's a Blues Brothers band and a movie, because it took years to get that movie done. This is before the album, and they didn't have a skit ready. They tried it, and then they always filmed 2 shows on Saturday Night Live, back to back. So you do a show, it doesn't take very long to do it, and you go back to your dressing room, get a drink of water, whatever, come out and start over again.
yeah.
So in both shows, they did not have a skit finished. And so Lorne Michaels said, "Why don't you guys, John, why don't you just go out and do that thing you do for warming up the band?" And they did, and they got so much mail for it, they had to keep it. So on their hiatus during the summer, Belushi's, they gave everybody a camera crew to go film their vacation time. And John says, "I want to play music." Okay. So that's what he did. So we were in off time when we did that briefcase full of blues out.
That's a cool story.
That
I
is,
didn't know that.
it's a true story, but it is pretty cool.
Yeah. I know that I had a conversation with Dan Aykroyd once, and he was telling me that John during the playing his acting, he was gone they were searching for him, and they needed to do I think, a part in the mall, and
Right.
he was gone. He ringed at someone's door,
That
and
is
just
true.
and he just said, "I'm John Belushi. Can I come in? Yeah, yeah. Do you have something in the fridge?
So
I
they
like
couldn't,
food."
he wasn't there on set, you know, and Danny says, I can find him. And he goes around the neighborhood, kept knocking on doors until there he was, still asleep on the couch.
Yeah, and all the food was gone. That's what Dad told
I
me.
wasn't there, so I came back up that story. I mean, I wasn't there. I was there for one that people say, do you have any funny stories from Blues Brothers? I only have one. We were rehearsing, doing choreography for the band on a sound stage. And so when the van pulls out, we all pile out and head into it. So Danny's going, shh, 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 and points down, it's asleep. It's asleep. So Belushi was hanging out partying, and he knew he had to be at rehearsal. So he goes to the sound stage early and just passes out, or not passes out, but he goes to sleep.
Funny.
Funny guy. I
Yes.
hung out with him in LA and New York, and he was one of the greatest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, we still miss him for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he would be
You know,
one.
hanging out with him, I say this about John Belushi. He never refused a fan an autograph or handshake or whatever they wanted. And it could be a whole group of them or one of them. And he'd stay there until the last one. It could be 10 or 12 guys. People would jump out of cabs, over cabs, run across the street in front of cars to get to meet John Belushi. So, you know, I had a little experience with it.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
another guy I did was Roy Orbison.
Mhm.
There's a light bulb for you.
Yeah.
There's only three guys in my lifetime that would light up a room. President Bill Clinton, Elvis Presley, and, and probably John Belushi or Roy Orbison. I think Roy a little more than John. Because a lot of people didn't know who John was at the time. They do now, but they didn't then. If they knew who Roy was, they'd see those dark glasses and that black suit. Man, they'd jump over counters and go through walls or whatever they could to get to him. And he's pretty good. But he would light up a room. He'd walk in and the whole room would just stop and stare.
Awesome.
Really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about your time working with Otis Redding? If you have any songs that you particularly love that you wrote
Well, every song. And every now and then, and I didn't listen to any of his music for a long time, a long time. And in LA, a friend of mine said, it's time you started listening to some Otis Redding music. And I did. And now I'm listening to album after album because, like I said before, we treated all songs the same. So when you say, do you have a song in mind you thought was a hit? I thought every song we did on Otis was a hit. We did have 17 hits in a row before he passed
Wow.
away in a very short period of time.
Wow,
A little less than 3 years, I think. So,
that's great.
yeah, pretty cool. He's a super guy.
Yes.
Someone was
Was.
referencing sitting on the dock of the bay.
And, you know, that was his ideas, but I helped him finish them. I helped him finish a lot of them. And usually if you see the name Cropper Redding or vice versa, listen to the lyrics. They're always about him. Every song I ever wrote was always about him. He was bigger than life. He really was.
Yeah.
And I really and truly thought that he was I just accepted him as my older brother, because he was so streetwise. I had no idea until he died and I read his obituary that we were the same age. I had no idea.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I think his birthday's in September and mine's coming up in October. We're in September right now, I think.
Again,
I know, we're losing track of time.
Pandemic going on, you never know what day it is.
I know.
I have to look at my watch or something to find out, or the calendar to find out what day it is and what month it is.
That's true.
I really feel sorry for people that really have to go through 12 hours or 24 hours of this pandemic. Because I'm lucky being a musician, you know. I'll get up. If I'm hungry, I'll get up and eat. If I want to play something, I'll get up and play. If I want to listen to something, I'll get up and listen to it. It's just as simple.
Yeah.
But their lives sometimes depend on their work ability.
True. That's
And
true.
I did that at one time, but not anymore. I've been self-employed since the early 70s.
We have a few years to go, Carly.
Yeah. I have a lot, unfortunately.